Hello, today I'm going to be interviewing David Goldberg, who is a civil rights law lawyer. So, welcome, David.
Thank you, it's great to be with you again.
Today we're going to be talking about a case about Jane Doe and why is that so connected to the DC, the District of Columbia.
The case was about the citizens of the District of Columbia and the DC Department of Mental Retardation. In that case, which was before Judge Kavanaugh, or eventually before Judge Kavanaugh, the DC had a policy that allowed them to make decisions for people with intellectual disabilities about elective surgery. That means non-emergency surgeries that kind of didn't need to be done right away to protect people's lives or health. And they could do it under certain circumstances without even talking to the person with the disability, without asking their permission, without asking, if they wanted it, without making sure they understood what was happening. And the district court, when Jane Doe sued and said, that violated my rights, the district court said, yes, that violated your rights. And the district court set a standard that said someone with an intellectual disability, even if they had been legally committed to a state institution, in this case the state was the District of Columbia, and there was legal guardianship there for them, the state still had a responsibility to communicate with them, to talk to them, to find out if they wanted it, to find out what their wishes were. Now, if it was a situation where they couldn't find a way to communicate, or the individual with the disability couldn't respond to them, couldn't tell them what they wanted, then the department was able, under the district court's ruling, to make a decision in the best interest if they had to without the input of the person. But Judge Kavanaugh overturned that decision, and he said that the state didn't have to do that. They didn't have to communicate. They didn't even have to try to determine what the individual with the disability wanted, because in his view, that person was by definition incompetent, and therefore the state didn't have to ask what they wanted. That was a kind of stunning decision. I can use your words if you don't mind, that really reflected sort of a real violation and a lack of understanding of nothing about us without us, and in a way that I personally haven't seen. I can't think of the last time I saw something kind of in not just a decision, but in the language of a decision like that.
And thank you. In the South State community, we take nothing about us without us very, very seriously. And I hope that people will take nothing about us without us very seriously, because it's our bodies, so we need to decide what's going on. And please note that when David talked about the Department of Mental Retardation, that's the term that they use probably 50, 60 years ago. And I'm hoping that changed, but at that time it was called that.
Yeah, and just to put a fine point on what you said, this case unfortunately was not from 50 or 60 years ago. It was from 2007. So it was still the name then, but which is unfortunate.
That's a short time.
Yeah.
A short time.
Yeah.
But now, why is it important now?
Even though that case sounds like it comes from 50 years ago, it's not that old. And it seems to reflect an opinion from Judge Kavanaugh about people with disabilities and whether or not they should be in charge of their own health care and what rights to self-determination they have. And now he's been nominated to the Supreme Court, where his opinions affect everybody in the country. And if a case like that, a case about healthcare, self-determination in healthcare, the rights of people with disabilities, comes before the Supreme Court, he will have a say in the rights that people all over the country have. And when the Supreme Court makes a decision, there's no place to go to appeal it.
And as I have said before, this is my body, this is our lives. Nothing about us should be without us.
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, if you have any questions or comments about this video, please comment below.